What is this?
It's been a pleasure, but I will be taking this belt now off of Team Mara for at least a year. All right, thank you.
It's time for the Final Four.
Final four. How far we've come.
And just a mere fact that Andrew is facing Mark and Sarah, which is this year's West champ versus last year's West champ. And then you have arguably the two best teams in the last 2 years or so in the East. East champ Chuck and CJ, repeating East champ, versus Mike, who was neck and neck with them for the East championship towards the end of this regular season. It's the best versus the best right now.
It really is. Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy Final Four. I mean, I could see any of those four teams winning it.
Let's talk about your match with Seattle Felix for a couple of minutes here.
Well, let's not say we did. Just kidding.
So last week's joke was about your actual full name, James Andrew Acob Innes, and how Andrew Acob is your middle name. I
Right.
think Andrew's full name this week is Andrew James Innes Acob.
There you go. There you go.
139 to 97.
Yeah, 97, no good. I kind of needed the Titans to do something to have a chance, and they combined for like 8 points for me.
Yeah, well, better luck next year.
Always
Left
next
side.
year. Way to go, Andrew.
And then moving on to the other big west part of the bracket, it was Seattle KBA losing by 6 points, only by a touchdown to Team Mara,
That was a
125
close
to
one.
119.
Yeah.
Almost a huge comeback by KBA on Monday night.
Came down to Monday night. The Eagles threw a pick when they were trying to get into field goal range.
So what was the boon for the Seahawks was the bane for Seattle KBA, who otherwise
Yeah.
had a very memorable season.
Huge season. Love to see it.
Yes, they had a great TPF, not so good record towards, in the middle stages of the season, but just a lot of grit towards the end for KBA and a sign of things to come, I think.
Yep. Big move getting Travis Kelsey there at the late season.
Yep.
Like they were playing good.
Now to the east part of the bracket, we have Town Business, 125 over Seda Staley's 92. It was no contest from the beginning.
I mean, you said it last week. I think we both agreed Chuck would probably win this one. And yeah, it happened. 46
Yeah.
from McCaffrey.
This will be Chuck's fourth appearance in the Final Four.
Wow.
Also, just a quick mention, it's also the fourth appearance for Mark and Sarah in the Final Four. It just shows that the teams that are good make it happen in the late stages of the regular season and in the playoffs. So
Absolutely.
this is getting to a point where, no luck can make this happen. You're good, I think.
Yep.
The fourth match we'll briefly discuss. Mike, 151 over Lisa, 98.
Huge week from Mike. I mean, he's outscored everybody.
So I mentioned earlier about the teams that this will be their fourth time in the Final Four. This will be Mike's fifth time in 8 seasons in the Final Four.
Wow.
Now that says something. We already know he's good.
Yeah.
This
No
proves it.
surprise there. And Dak Prescott and Saquon Barkley finally ran out of steam there.
You
But I
kind of
don't
called it
think it
too.
mattered.
You said they were overperforming. I had picked Lisa last week. You had picked Mike. You were right on.
Yep.
You called it.
If only I could predict my team's future like that.
So the bracket's set up now, and the winner of each match moves on to Arsenio Bowl 8.
Yep. Should be an exciting weekend. It'll be nice to just watch, no like personal stock in the fantasy. Just get to watch for fun. See how
Yeah.
everyone does.
That's a good attitude for one of the losing teams in the first round of the playoffs. Which
Yeah.
only thing is that you have more bragging rights than I do.
You almost got there
So
this year though. You had a nice little kick at the end.
I did, yes, and it will probably help in future seasons when I actually have more time to. I
You're
won't
not going to
put
be
this
the
part in.
commish anymore.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
won't. I
one
won't put
time
this
you
part
won
in.
was the one time you weren't commish, right?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something that can be said. I will also say that I had close to zero time to work on my fantasy team that year too because of school. So it's
Oh, okay.
kind of give and take for sure.
Mhm.
Um, but I'll go with that explanation. That's a good one. Looking at Seattle Felix versus Team Mara. At the moment, ESPN is projecting a 15-point win for Team Mara, but obviously this is before waivers go through and before lineups are actually set, so it probably doesn't matter.
And that very well
Yeah.
could be Andrew's lineup, but we'll see. They scored pretty similar. I think Andrew outscored them by a little bit last week, so it should be a
Yeah.
close one.
James, what is your prediction here?
My prediction, I think Team Mare is gonna get this one. They've been playing pretty well, and unless the Lions go off again this week, I think Andrew's gonna have a tough time. They could though, but I
Yeah.
think that's gonna be like the make or break. But I'll pick Team Mara. How about you?
Before I give my pick, I will say a quick shout out to Team Mara for being a former contestant of the Arsenio Bowl back in Arsenio Bowl 4. So that would have been 2019. Uh, I don't think they're going to make it this time. I think it's going to be Seattle Felix
All right.
in one of the greatest fantasy stories I can remember for a once really bad team making the playoffs for the first time and possibly making it to the Arsenio Bowl for the first time.
Wow. Love to see it.
Either way, it's a win-win for us,
Yep.
regardless on whose prediction is correct. Both teams are obviously stellar, but
Yeah.
if I were to, off the top of my head, go with a pick, Seattle Felix.
Nice.
Chuck and CJ versus Mike. Now, interestingly, ESPN is really projecting Mike to get this win by
He
about.
was projected for 146 points.
Yeah,
That's insane.
that is. Yeah, you know what? So it's projecting huge games for Justin Fields and Tyreek Hill. No surprise there. But I think some of the other players on Mike's team. I mean, all close to 20 points for Cook, close to 20 points for Pittman.
Right. I mean,
I can see some of that happening.
mhm.
I think this would be a closer match than ESPN's making it out to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it'll be a close match. I do honestly, if I had to pick one, I think Mike's been on a tear. I
Okay.
think Mike does have an advantage, but I wouldn't say 63%, you know.
All right. Since you made that pick, I'll go ahead and make my pick for Mike as well.
Perfect.
We'll put it on the board, as they say.
Put it on the board.
Okay, now on the winner's consolation ladder side of things, we have Lisa versus you, Tanny versus KBA. Everybody's vying for the eventual 5th through 8th place final standings at the end of the postseason.
Yep.
How badly do you want 5th place, James?
Not very.
Okay.
But in the loser ladder, they have plenty to play for.
So let's go by rung, if you will. So we have the top rung, the mid rung, and the bottom rung. Top rung is the grind versus me, so that'll be a good Woo sibling rivalry match.
Mm-hmm.
The winner of that goes to the Chowder Bowl. And in the mid rung, we have Omar and Jake versus DC Universe. The winner of that goes to the Chowder Bowl. Now,
Yep.
the loser of that goes to the Banyu Bowl. So that's a huge fork in the road for those teams there.
Yep, that's a big one. That's a must-win situation for DC Universe.
Yes. Yeah, I think DC Universe could be demoralized if they lose this. No, I don't know. I don't know. And then now the worst of the worst, the bottom rung, Nabil. Oh wow, how many games has he lost in a row now?
I've lost count.
Yeah.
I don't talk to him about fantasy anymore, just out of respect.
All I can say is that every time I hear the Tom Petty song "Free Fallin'," Nabil's 2023 season, that's the soundtrack right there.
That is, man.
Going up against the worst regular season team in Rosita League history, John and Noah, who are on a 13-game losing streak now.
Yep. I think they lost to D-Money this week.
Loser of that.
We'll see. We'll see if whose losing streak gets broken. This might be one of the matches I'm most interested in this week.
As Dave Niehaus used to say, get out the rye bread and the toilet paper this time, Grandma. It's Banyu Bowl time.
It's Banyu Bowl time.
All right. I think he said that. I forget what he exactly.
I think that was a direct quote.
Yeah,
for
I think
sure.
it was. Yeah.